Woo! All right, and we are live. Good morning,
We're off.
everyone. My name is Sam Hill, the owner and founder of EcomCFO, and today I'm not joined. This is your guys' production, but I absolutely love that I'm doing the intro today. And our topic today is cash, and I think specifically for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, but also, I was talking to Taylor Holiday after one of his talks a couple months ago, and he's picked up on this trend that I think everyone has intuitively, but he really did a good job of saying it out loud. And that's that we've gone from revenue to focusing on profit to now focusing on cash. Um, and you guys just raised a big old round to help e-commerce brands solve this problem. And so just super excited to do this talk. And David and I have known each other for a while. I'm trying to get him more and more of our clients. And he's been helping us do the same. So, we always have a great conversation every time we do something like this. So yeah, David, take it away.
I'm really excited to be chatting with all of you. I know the biggest time of the year is coming up. Um, quick introductions. I'm actually so I'm the president of HighBeam. HighBeam is a banking and cash management platform for consumer brands, businesses between 1 million and 200 million in sales. But I actually started as a customer. I built a tea brand called David's Tea, 0 to 200 million in sales, 30 million of EBITDA, 200 stores across North America. Took it public on the NASDAQ, sold it shortly thereafter. And I was building some other businesses, one of which I just got fed up with my bank. I was getting 0% yield on my cash, no intelligence on the data, clunky software, bureaucratic service. Long story short, I became a HighBeam customer. I loved it. So much so that I ended up joining the company about a year and a half ago. We've grown like crazy. We have hundreds of consumer brands, billions in flows, just raised a Series A. And, I learned in my time at David's Tea that cash is king, as I'm sure you've all learned as well. You can have a profitable business and never be able to take any money out of it. And that's, you all went into business to be able to have a nice lifestyle and build a company and make money. And so Sam and I today are going to talk about um, how you can make more money. Basically, how you can generate more free cash flow that gives you options either to reinvest in your business, to pull distributions. It'll just put you in a much stronger position and across the board, regardless of what your goals are, whether it's to ultimately sell the business for a big valuation, whether it's to run as a lifestyle business and be able to deploy your capital outside of the business. But generating cash is the name of the game, and we'll go through some techniques and some opportunities that you probably all have that both Sam has seen in the many, many brands that he works with every day, and that I've seen in the brands that I've worked with, and as well as the ones I've built. Um, so yeah, let's maybe dive in here. I know people are still coming.
Before we dive in,
Yeah,
David, do you mind two things that I think are important? Number one, because I think most people haven't seen that we actually did some really hard work and put together a benchmark report about
right.
cash. That yes, some of the elements of that are included in this deck, but that PDF is or will be available to everyone. And we chose a bunch of brands out of Ecom CFO's own client base and actually pulled a lot of the insights and what's actually happening on the ground. So like we're not making this stuff up. It comes from all of our experience and the data behind the companies that we actually support every day. And then on an unrelated note, I am really curious to hear the the audience members that we have, if they're CFOs of brands, if they're in operations of brands, if they're the owners, which I would imagine is the vast majority of the audience. But I am super curious if you are an audience member and can take 5 seconds to put who you are, your role, and you don't even have to put the company if you don't want to. I'm just really curious the roles.
100%. And as we get going here, guys, if you have questions, pop them in the chat. We have people watching the chats, which will interrupt Sam and I and allow us to answer as many of the questions as we can get to, either throughout the presentation or at the end too.
Cool. Awesome. I see a bunch of responses already. Cool.
All right. Shall we get
So
going?
yeah, interestingly enough, of the people that have responded, most are either like ecom managers, director of e-commerce, operations. So I haven't seen one finance person, which I think is really interesting.
COO, as
Yeah, I
close as
mean,
we're.
sometimes finance rolls into would report to a COO, but I haven't seen one CFO or financial analyst, controller, anything like that, which I think is interesting.
Well, the good news for ecom marketing managers and managers in general is if we can help your companies generate more free cash flow, that can actually be reinvested in marketing as well. That's always an option. So hopefully you guys get a bigger canvas to paint with as well by helping your companies generate more money.
Yep.
Oh, we got a head of finance. There we
There
go.
we go. First one.
Um, all right. So, Sam, we always talk about this one, but so it's remarkably overlooked. I mean, I much like you, I talk to like 20 different brands a week and have for the past year and a half, all ranging usually between call it 5 and 200 million in sales. And the amount of people who have money sitting in a 0% checking account doing nothing for them is staggering. Um, and I don't know about you, but what I find even the most interesting, this is one of the things that attracted me to HighBeam especially, was it's people obsess about rates, right? Am I getting 3.6, 3.7, 3 point, whatever it is? But much more important than that is moving the money daily. And we actually built this at HighBeam to automate the sweeps to high yield daily because people kind of get this when you borrow, right? You'd almost rather borrow for 15 days at 17% than 30 days at 15%. It's cheaper. But it's the same thing when you're making money, right? Like on your yield, where if you're going to put it in a high yield once a week, once every 2 weeks, the most important thing is actually doing it daily and being able to take advantage of the free money on your float daily. And like this can add up, right?
Yeah, and I think the one thing that we actually didn't cover in the benchmark report, and that stems from why people don't do this, is because they haven't done an actual cash flow forecast because
Right.
they don't actually know how much cash they need week to week, day to day, month to month, and have mapped all of this out. So it becomes a safety blanket to keep that cash in a 0% earnings checking account. But if you've actually done a 13-week cash flow, or even let's call it it doesn't have to be 13 weeks, it could be 9, it could be 4.
Right.
But I think giving yourself some confidence that you do have actual idle cash and then can use HighBeam to do something with it and get some yield, and anything is better than 0%, period.
I've yet to meet a customer where we can't save them tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars just on the idle cash. Before we even get into automating 13-week cash flow, bill pay, leverage, better credit card rates, all that stuff, right? That HighBeam delivers. But in almost every single conversation I have, there's some way to create more cash from just the working capital that goes in and out of the business every single day. Um, and I don't know about you, but what I find remarkable is like you know, building a business is hard. It's never been easier to start a business. It's never been harder to build it and profit from it. And like $100,000, the way I like to think about this, of free money right to your bottom line. I mean, that's like having to generate $1 million of sales. That's potentially a $500,000 of ad spend. Like that's real money with no work.
Yep. Yeah, and
Um,
I think the one of the coolest conversations we had previously is yes, it's the cash that you already own, but the other thing that's not mentioned is it's the cash that you could potentially own that's existing in your supply chain, a la negotiating payment terms with your suppliers, negotiating with your 3PL
yeah.
partner, and negotiating with everyone else in your organization, and pulling all those different levers and giving you more idle cash to be able to put it to work.
Right. It's almost, and we're going to get into this a little later in the session here, but like it's almost a 2-for-1 special, right? If you get your suppliers to finance more of your growth, not only is that money you don't need to borrow and pay interest on, but it's actually money you get to put in the bank and generate yield on. So you're making it in both ways. You know?
Yeah.
Uh, cool. All right, let's keep rolling here.
And also, should we mention our policy on questions? If people have questions, they should just go ahead and ask them now,
Yes,
not
100%. Yeah.
cool.
Um, So second big insight so first big insight on the benchmarks was people have money sitting around where they're not making any money from it. The big banks are. They're not operating treasury properly. And by the way, this is something HighBeam puts on autopilot for you, and we will make you a minimum of tens of thousands, and in some of your cases, hundreds of thousands, just from that first point. Second one is inventory turns. Um, Inventory turns matter. I mean, probably many of you on this call don't even know how often you're turning your inventory. Uh, and I mean, one extra turn is 10 to 20% more working capital. And Sam and I put together that report, and on the right here, you can see some of the top companies how often they turn their inventory. Um, we're going to get into SKU management later on, but ecom brands need to get a lot more focused on understanding which of their SKUs are generating turns and profit for them and which aren't, and being able to get granular and surgical about understanding that mix and really, what's worth it and what is actually a drag on the business.
I think the SKU rationalization is one of the least discussed topics in our space, and I think if Q4 is not as successful as some people need it to be, let's be honest. I think this is going to be one of the first things to go. Is a lot of brands just simply aren't going to reorder a lot of the SKUs, and they're going to cut their bottom 10, 20, 30% of performers. I do want to mention one thing on the top companies, because this is one of the common problems that we see across our entire client base is they don't know what to benchmark against. And even though public companies aren't the perfect comparable, it's as close as we can get to real verifiable data because public companies don't have to report like or private companies don't have to report like private ones do. So we just pulled some common examples that everybody knows, like Warby, Lulu, and Yeti, and provided that information about what these companies, what their inventory turns look like. So at least give you an idea of what you should be targeting. And then if you're not, work like hell to improve it.
Yeah, we used to have it. We used to go through an exercise every year at David's Tea where we'd look at what does 80% of the sales come from as a percentage of the SKUs. And if the answer was 20% or 30% or less, we started cutting, and we started cutting quickly. And inevitably, and you'll all encounter this if you run this exercise, you'll have some people on your team, and maybe even you are the person on the team that shares this belief, who's like, no, we can't cut that third worst selling SKU. It's so important to the mix, or you'll cut it and you'll get a few customer, angry responses. That was my favorite tea. That was my favorite whatever. Um, I'm here to tell you, you can and you should, having lived this experience. You know, one thing that we never do when we think about SKUs is we never allocate our G&A, our general administrative, basically our overhead, our salaries. We never allocate them at the SKU level to understand what effort is going into what SKUs. And in reality, it's the same amount of effort to keep your best selling SKU as your worst and manage those SKUs, right? So you have to really understand the true cost of the SKU, and understand how you have much more substitutability between SKUs than you realize a lot of the time. Anyway, this is one of the biggest ones. I see this often. And the best way to improve inventory turns, of course, you can promote, you can bundle. There's a lot of different ways to do it. And you're going to make buying mistakes. And when you do, rip the Band-Aid, like get out of them fast and furiously. At least that's my philosophy. I'd rather take a quick margin hit and get out of the problem than have it drag on because you're paying storage costs at your 3PL, et cetera, et cetera. And it's just mental space that I want gone. Um, but the best way to improve your inventory turns is keeps, put your energy in the SKUs that turn the most. And if you do that and you cut some of the fat, your turns are going to improve dramatically, and you're going to generate a lot of free cash flow.
Man, I was just I know we don't have 2 hours for this webinar, but I was just talking to one of our clients yesterday, and she runs a women's like wig company, and they're constantly having to come out with new products, new products, new products, new products, and she's right at the level of scale where she's having a ton of problems and putting in 70-hour weeks, but not quite big enough to hire the team to manage a lot of the content and growth production. And the more conversations that we have, the more it is related to this exact thing of SKU rationalization. That actually, if she would cut those bottom 10-20%, yes, it would hurt. She would get those customer complaints. She would lose customers. And nobody wants to talk about it, but oh my gosh, revenue may go down. But you're going to be more profitable and you're going to have more cash.
100%.
And
And that, that
that's
was
the
like,
dirty secret. Nobody wants less revenue.
nobody wants less earned, but hey, I'd rather a $20 million business that spits out $3 million of free cash flow than a $25 million business that spits out one, you
Yeah,
know?
absolutely.
Um, okay, let's keep rolling here. So, Sam, you actually opened my eyes the most to this, and since you brought this up, I've really found, boy, is it ever true, and it reminds me of the saying, "Pressure makes diamonds," where there's a level of discipline when resources are scarce that we end up it's almost evolutionary, right? Like we fall, we're able to make, as humans, we're able to do more with less a lot of the time. And when you have a lot of money on the balance sheet, it sort of just hides these mistakes and doesn't surface them and doesn't drive any urgency around them. So I thought this is really interesting. Like we think of current ratio as this wonderful thing. You want to have a high current ratio, but if you just have a lot of cash on the balance sheet, it sometimes just delays some of the hard decisions you need to make in order to make your business more efficient.
Yeah, or it gives you the false sense that you have a good business when you may not. And I
Right.
mean, like I didn't make this up, of course. Actually, Mike Beckham from the Operators Podcast, he's talked about this on several episodes where he used to keep a lot of cash in Simple Modern, but he has since reversed that, and also more of his team has access to the financials. So he started to pull out more and more cash and put it into his own personal investments or whatever it is,
Mhm.
rather than leave it in the business for all of these reasons, because you're less likely to negotiate payment terms with your suppliers. You're less likely to be really vigilant about how cash is moving in and out of your company. So yeah, I mean, yes, define a certain number of months of runway, whether that's 6, 9, whatever helps you sleep at night. But beyond that, I think it's really detrimental. I think it's net negative to keep that much cash just in your business checking account. Go do something with it, and go
Yeah.
get the yield on it at the very least. And you may also
Yeah.
consider distributing it to yourself.
Absolutely. And there's a great book on this called Profit. I mean, the essence of it is pay yourself first. But Profit outlines a series of accounts in your bank that you should actually have. And HighBeam, we're all about cash management at HighBeam and putting more money in your pockets as entrepreneurs, and as founders and as business builders. We actually created it so that you can open those exact accounts and then we can automatically move money in each one. So there's like a marketing account, an operations account, a tax account, employee bonus account, or whatever, right? Like whatever it is. But you basically have a series of accounts where you route the money immediately. So profit is not something, the essence of the book and of the method is, profit is not something you think about at the end of the year. It's something you think about at the beginning of the year. You actually build it in your model. You take it out of the business. And I find a lot of the brands that buy into this mentality are far more resourceful.
Yeah, and they're less likely to make the big impulsive decisions as well. Like we had another client that out of the blue, Kylie Jenner wanted to do some sort of collab and they were gonna have to pay like, I don't know, 50 or 75 grand to do it. But it was like it just came out of nowhere. It's like, I'm more disciplined. I didn't really budget for this. It doesn't seem to be a whole lot of upside, so I'm going to say no to this. But I think that discipline, whether it's profit first or whatever methodology you follow, just having that discipline, say like, hey, this is going to come out of my profit, and I've put my foot in the ground to say, hey, I'm going to achieve 5% EBITDA, 10% EBITDA this year, whatever it is, and I'm not willing to go below that.
Right. Cool. Let's keep going. So I'm actually going to run you through a super fast visual of HighBeam, but we do a lot of the things that we're talking about here today. I mean, we're all about saving you money, saving you time, and giving you leverage on your financial processes. So as you scale, you can work with maybe one internal person plus Sam or just Sam, but not have to basically scale your finance team and while your business grows. So things like automated cash flow, make sure you maximize your yield on idle cash, um, being able to clean and categorize your transactions, and then of course on the AP side as well. I'm going to ask to share screen here for a sec. Am I able to now? Yes, I am. So this is the HighBeam backend. Think of us like your central command center. You can do everything you would do with your bank. We're fully FDIC insured, and our partner is Truist Bank, the seventh biggest bank in America for any dollars above 3 million. You get your view not just from your HighBeam balances, from any connected accounts as well, but you basically get two accounts. You get a primary account where you earn up to 1.04 and a high yield account where you earn up to 3.05. 3.75, excuse me, 3.75. But more importantly than that, we automatically move money daily with you. So, like we set rules with you to move money so that we sweep from primary to high yield and back. So let's say you have 100,000 in primary, you want every dollar above that to go into high yield. Every dollar above every day goes into high yield. If the 100 grand in primary drops to 50,000, we automatically top it off to 100. And this is the kind of thing that big businesses have a treasury person doing that HighBeam can automate for you. And it's going to be worth, figure for every $500,000 of idle cash, it's about $20,000 right to your bottom line. So if you're holding $2 million of idle working capital, you're in that, sorry, a little less than that, call it 17. So you're in that sort of like 60 to $70,000 range for 2 million, or call it 30 to 35 per million. We do cards, we do capital. We have a bill pay solution very similar to bill.com, except we don't hold your money for up to 5 days. Again, going back to cash flow, the big tech companies know this. So all these bill pay solutions, whether it's Ramp, Chipotle, bill.com, when you pay on a Monday, and most of you probably noticed this already, the receiver doesn't get it till Friday. It's because they make money off your float. We don't do that. We let you make money on your float. You send it Monday morning, they get it Monday afternoon. Other than that, it's a fully automated, streamlined AP system. It links right into your accounting software. But then we go a lot deeper because all we do is work with consumer brands. We're able to go way deeper on cash flow. So we'll actually, that 13-week cash flow that Sam was talking about being really, really important. We clean and categorize your transactions, not just from your HighBeam account, but from any connected account to HighBeam as well on top of that. And so this means normally in your bank feed, you get like this kind of gobbledygook of information here, right? This is normally what your bank feed shows. We know it's TikTok ads. We know it's marketing paid. Our AI is really good on consumer brands. And then we're actually able to generate a 13-week cash flow for you. So we import all of your clean and categorized transactions, all your bills, and we give you all your inflows, all your outflows weekly. So you leave the office on a Friday, you come in Monday, Saturday and Sunday are in there. So this is real time, it's live, it's accurate. Forecasting is excellent on Shopify and Amazon. Wholesale, we won't have as much visibility, but it's really easy to change and update. So 90% of any kind of 13-week cash flow work gets automated through HighBeam for you. And then we're able to even give that to you in graphical form as well, where we take your spreadsheet and we link it to this graph. We allow you to input money in or money out, one-time anomalies in the model that we may not know about, some kind of promotion with a celebrity that might give you a one-time pop. You're able to drill in on any week and it links back up to your cash flow sheet and you can edit the answers. You actually get an AI analyst as well to help you get fast answers to ad hoc finance questions. So all your data sources are connected. So the punchline is HighBeam, we want to be your 20-year partner. We do two things really well. We automate a bunch of tedious manual finance tasks to save you real money, whether that's treasury or cash flow or bill pay and AP. And we just pair that with great service. We work really closely with Sam. It's not like Chase. You call us between 10 and 4 and press 1 for English and 2 for Spanish. Like you get access to people who have either worked with founders and brands their entire life, or in my case, someone's actually built one. And you don't just, you get our cell phone numbers. Like you get us when you need us. We know what it's like. Look, building these businesses a lot of the time feels like walking through quicksand and chewing broken glass. And we know that when you need help, you need us and you need us now. And that's something that HighBeam stands for. Let's jump back to it.
Can I ask you a question, David?
Of course.
What tell us more about the fun. I'm just selfishly curious. Like tell us more about the fundraise and what that's going to allow you guys to do.
Yeah, that's super exciting. Great question. So HighBeam, we've like 4x the business in the past year. Um, we now, power most of Soho basically, and beyond, and all these brands in America. We raised $30 million from some of the best Series A investors out there, including First Mark, who did the Shopify deal early stages. It's really going to allow us to go deeper on more AI agents. I know there's a ton of buzz about AI, but our view on it is how do we allow you to surface the information and the intelligence, not just the data, but the intelligence that you need when you need it, so that you, in conjunction with someone like Sam, are able to make timely decisions. When you think about it, consumer brands, it's turning money into inventory, back into money, and doing that over and over again. So you have money in, money out, money in, money out. Then the way it works today is you get all this information that happened a month sent up to this accounting system, whether it's QuickBooks or NetSuite or whatever you're using, Zero. And then maybe if you're lucky, 15 days later or 10 days later, and in a lot of cases, probably longer than that for you, you're getting some kind of insights. I mean, you're looking in the taillights, not the high beams, right? So HighBeam is all about how do we get you real-time information and intelligence when you need it in the moment. And this money is really going to help us do that. Whether it's scenario planning and having to have these clunky spreadsheets where it's like optimistic, realistic, pessimistic, and us being able to have you be able to talk to your model conversationally and be able to do that in real time. Much, much quicker. Whether it's on any given week, you have money coming in or coming out, sorry, money that was supposed to come in or supposed to go out that actually didn't. Today, you have to kind of go through the model and figure out where to put that and how to move it forward. Can the AI copilot have your back and really flag that for you on a Monday and be like, hey, this stuff didn't come in or go out. Where would you like me to move it? Or when cash gets tight, right? When cash gets tight, it becomes a waterfall of cash flow decisions where at the top of the waterfall is payroll, right? You don't want to miss payroll. At the bottom of the waterfall is the proverbial napkin supplier, where you kind of don't mind punting that payment off a little bit. And then there's everybody in between. And so, can these AI agents work with you and Sam and be able to deliver the insights? It's like, hey, here's what we recommend in terms of how to space out these payments based on your prioritization. What do you think? This is going to allow you to maximize free cash flow by X. And assuming you guys are okay with it, like you might want to tweak it, and there's some considerations maybe it didn't have. But eventually, once you press play, can we streamline the whole process, have that go into your bill pay agent, your bill pay systems, line up the payments on those dates, send out the appropriate approvals, have you click a button and have the whole thing go. So we really believe that by having the analysis tie into the money movement, we're going to be able to really streamline your finance so that as you grow, you're going to be able to focus much more around how to deploy capital and how to understand what capital is going to be available to you when, versus having to scramble and dig through spreadsheets and do a lot of the lower value manual work.
I think that's awesome. I think one of the tiebacks to most of the audience being operations people is I actually see within our client base, most of the operations people actually do the AP approvals, but particularly for inventory, all the contractors, et cetera, et cetera. And oftentimes there is a bit of a lag between what the latest conversation was with that vendor, supplier, contractor, and what actually shows up in whatever bill pay software there is. And so it just kind of hit me going through the demo that you guys having access and creating your own email inbox as there's more and more correspondence with that contractor, and you're preparing that, like, hey, here's my payables for the week.
Yep.
You're able to not only have a list of all the payables, you're also able to see all the correspondence and be like, hey, actually, John said that it was cool if you split this into two payments, or John's cool if we pay him 2 weeks later. Oh, actually, that bill was canceled, so we need to automatically update it. And I think because with a couple of our clients, we have a 30-minute AP cash flow meeting every single week. And the
Oh yeah.
idea that we could completely eliminate that meeting and just say, hey, we're doing, these 5 payments. Here's why. Here's all the support behind it that's backing up that decision. Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, it's a big time saver, and that time is money, right? So like you're 100% right, Sam. We put the attachments and the correspondence in the bill. Everybody, you can see that. We separate the business approval from the payment approval. So you can have business approvals that have employee access where they only see the bills that were assigned to them. And so the marketing person can go in and approve the marketing invoice. And then the payment approval flows can be as specific as you want. So like the CEO only approves over 50,000. You can have spend thresholds. You can have two approvers. You can have, you can have it based off different payees. Like we give you all that flexibility. You can schedule the payments. You can even have comments to write back and forth to each other. To your point, where maybe somebody has some knowledge that another one doesn't. It wasn't in the correspondence, so
Yeah.
maybe the business approver writes to the payables person, hold on this, I'm negotiating with the vendor. And you actually would get a notification and see that. You have an audit trail of who touched the bill and who did what. There's really, again, there's just a lot of leverage, especially if your brand is growing. I mean, these are the things I wish I had at David's Tea when I was scaling it from 0 to 200 million. We started growing fast, and there was no one out there at that time to give you these tools to help streamline these processes. And it truly, I mean, it starts to really like deafen some of the noise that's the busy work of the business, which really isn't what helps you generate the profits and scale. Nobody's making money off AP on this call. It's something you have to do, and if you can do it in the
Except for
least amount
me.
of time
I'm
possible.
the
Yeah,
only
oh, true. I
person
guess you
making
are.
money on AP.
Fair. But I mean, even for you guys, right? Like you're always looking to streamline and create value for your clients, knowing full well that the biggest value you offer is their thought partner to figure out what to
Oh my
invest in.
gosh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, honestly, we make money because most people are unorganized.
Right.
That's what it comes down, because bills are everywhere. They're in three different inboxes. Going
Yeah.
back and forth with suppliers and getting everything together and being able to separate the difference between a purchase order and an invoice. If supplier sent multiple invoices incorrectly, validating the balances. I mean, that's what we get paid for today, but I don't want to get paid for that. I
Right.
want to get paid because we delivered great advice and great counsel to our clients, not because we do better administration.
Totally. Well, and I mean you've certainly demonstrated your chops putting together this benchmark report, which we'll give you all access to after this. But um, you know, being able to open people's eyes to how to create more, how to free up more money, then allows, first of all, that's a skill set in and of itself, and then it allows you to work with these customers, which we've had the privilege of working together for a little bit of time now, like for being a great capital allocator and helping them really see where this money should go.
Yeah.
Um, Anyways, keep rolling here. Let's see. We got some other hot tips for you. Oh, David, sorry, we had a question here. What are the upcoming on HighBeam's roadmap for things you guys want to build via AI? We definitely want to build the AI cash flow agent that we were just talking about. So today we can automate that 13-week cash flow for you. I can have any of you up and running in less than a week with that. But we really want to give you the ability to talk to your model and gain insights from your model and help you work that model much quicker than you have to do today in an Excel. Bill pay agent, same idea. We want you to be able to make payment decisions while you're looking at your cash flow model and just press go, and you streamline bill pay even more. The AI analyst, we want to get a lot stronger with. um, and allow you to really have access to your data and get not just be able to pull insights from it, but generate insights on it. And so, we have some incredible engineers. Sam mentioned, what's this money going to allow you to go do? It's going to allow us to really go deep on as much as we can automate. To Sam's point about the busy work of finance, and that's really our job. I mean, I'm old enough to remember what Shopify in the cloud did to my server room in my IT department. HighBeam exists to do the same thing to your finance team. Like our vision of the future is that you have one internal person, maybe plus a fractional firm like Sam, and you're able to go from, whether you're at 5 million, 10 million, 20 or 50 million today, you're able to 2, 3, 4x your business without needing more hires. Um, So next steps, here's where the rubber meets the road. And I really want to double click on supplier negotiations because this is a huge one. But we talked about high yield, automated treasury sweeps. We talked about the benchmarks around um, SKU management, inventory turns. We talked about the critical need to have a 13-week cash flow, or as Sam said, if you can't get 13, start with 9 or 4 or whatever. But you need to have some visibility in your cash flow. Supplier negotiations are enormously effective. And I'll start with a story on this. So we have a customer, 30, $40 million business. I was meeting with the founder who I've become friendly and close with. Uh, and we were talking about how he's never able to, he's been in the business for 9 years. It's profitable, but he hasn't really taken any money out of it. And I'm like, why is that? And he's like, well, I'm constantly having to reinvest. And I'm like, well, what are your supplier terms? He's like, I pay 30% before production starts, which is 90 days before it ships. I pay 45% once production's done. And then I pay 30% net 30. So he's effectively paying negative 60-day buying terms. To put this in context, we negotiated really hard on this at David's Tea. Like, we had minimum net 60 and with some of our suppliers net 90, and boy, did it matter. And so for this particular entrepreneur, we built this working capital calculator for him, where, because he didn't understand, I'm like, if all you do next year is get your negative 60 to positive 60, it's going to be like millions for you. And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I need to figure out Facebook, and had all these other, marketing more centric ideas. So we built this working capital calculator for him. It's actually available on the HighBeam website. But you give a variety of inputs, inventory turns, margins, et cetera, and your supplier terms. And then you're able to play with the inputs, and it tells you the impact on what it would do to your free cash flow. And the punchline for this brand was, if all he did was that negative 60 to positive 60, it was $2 million he could take out of the business and put in his pocket. And I think this one is like, it's one of the most underlooked things. Um, you know, we seldom actually get on a plane and go visit our suppliers, but when you start to quantify the opportunity, boy, is it worth it. It's probably one of the most high value activities you can take next year.
I would add one more thing to that because we have a few clients that are trying to sell their companies, and I've seen the LOIs that they're getting. And guess what? The LOI includes working capital considerations. And if you have those negative 60-day terms, you're going to get penalized for that in the negotiation of the sale of your company eventually. So do yourself a favor and work on this long term.
Yeah, and a few key strategies on this, because I mean, we unlocked millions of dollars at David's Tea. We did a few things on this to get better supplier terms. The first thing is, I always want a meeting in Jan where I tell them what we accomplished relative to what I told them last year and what I plan to accomplish this coming year. And I really like to create a pattern of doing, under promising and over delivering and showing the growth. I also like to make sure, and I would go visit them in person, sit down with them. I also like to tell them, so I map out what has happened since we started the business and how our business has grown together. I then talk to them about all the investments I'm making in the business and what the plans are for the future. And then there's always an ask. Like, we were always trying to get better suppliers or vendor credits or whatever we could. Uh, and I always had a plan B. So, I never worked with just one supplier. I like to have many suppliers because it gives you a lot more leverage. We got to a size, then this may not apply to most of you on the call, but we got to a size where we actually had a vendor summit where we'd invite all of our
Mm.
vendors into one room at the same time, and they're competing with each other. And we would do this through presentations. And so they would be sitting in a room looking to their right and left on where the business is going to go if they don't play ball with us, and then hearing about all the wonderful things we're doing, both the growth we've already had and the growth we're going to have. And then we gear up negotiations. But this wasn't something we did once. It was something we were constantly revisiting every single year, if not multiple times a year, because that's how valuable it is for you. At David's Tea, it was $4 million for us over time as we
Yeah.
started to improve our vendor terms. Literally $4 million that went right to our bottom line that we no longer need to use.
And I would say this I think this is counterintuitive, and obviously you have to model it out for yourself, but I would venture to guess that at least with some of our clients, that you would actually be okay with paying a higher unit cost and getting better terms. Then in some cases that is
Yes,
a better alternative than trying to say, oh, like I need 10% off, I need 20% off, I need 30% off the price. um and you can get that, but at what cost? And usually the cost is worse terms, but there are some situations where you're okay paying a higher price if you can get better terms, and that should absolutely be part of the negotiation.
totally. Sam, we got a question for you. Have you seen customers start implementing AI in their day to day? Has it made your job easier with them?
David, you're the finance person, but you're asking all the questions. So thanks. Um, I'm only going to speak for the finance and accounting part, because I'm not in their ad account managers. I'm not in their attribution software every day. So I mean, I know some anecdotes, but I'm just going to speak to finance and accounting. I would say the short answer is no to AI, yes to automation, but it's not the owners that are implementing, or the founders or the COOs or the CFOs that are implementing those automations. It's us, because we are incentivized to do that because our billing is fixed fee. So we're constantly, literally every day, asking ourselves, how can we automate more of the accounting process? How can we automate more of bill pay? How can we automate more of the financial reporting, 13-week cash flows? So all of our clients are getting that indirectly. Now, they may or may not know it, but all of that automation and AI work is happening at the service provider level, not really the owner level. And I
Actually,
guess, has
Sam,
it made? Oh, go ahead, sorry.
I was just going to say, at HighBeam, we work with all kinds of fractional firms, and I have to pay you a huge compliment here. And this, for everybody listening on this call, this is super important. If your fractional firm is fighting automation because they feel like it might reduce their billing, like I find that there are two types of fractional firms right now. Ones that embrace what's coming in automation. And Sam, that's why you've been such a great partner with HighBeam is, we're helping automate 30-week cash flow and a lot of these things, and you're embracing it for your clients. And you're like, hey, if it helps my clients, it helps me. Ultimately, I work for my clients, and you bring that attitude, and you've expressed that quite succinctly here on this call. Um, but there's a lot of fractional finance support out there that does not share that belief, and who often is scared of what's coming and views it as a me or versus an and. And I think for everybody
Yeah.
listening on this call, if you're using a fractional firm and they do not hold the belief, that growth mindset that Sam is expressing right now, and Sam is doing the work for you to find the HighBeams of the world, and to show you how you're going to generate significant leverage and value from working with them. Even if some might see that as fearful, he views that as growth and opportunity. Those are the right partners you need.
Yeah,
And I
because
would just be
and
mindful of that.
Yeah, and that's very nice of you. Thank you. And I think regardless of what you or I say, it's really about incentives. And whether it's us or there are other fractional firms that are great out there. But if their pricing is not fixed fee, your incentives are not aligned. Period.
Interesting.
And for us, we have to, and just like you guys are the same way, we have to
Yeah.
constantly look for how are we differentiating ourselves in the market. our differentiator used to be that, oh, we're the only, person that does e-commerce. We don't do any other industries. And now, we're looking for other ways about, okay, how do we create the best partnerships? How do we manage more of the finance and accounting stack, and that we're not just doing accounting, financial reporting, CFO service. We also can do treasury management or, sales tax or whatever it is, because the like you guys have taken not just the treasury management, but you are taking bill pay, you're taking 13-week cash flow. Like, you are trying to consolidate the sources of truth. And I think more and more that's what brands and clients are looking for is, how do I consolidate service providers? How do I consolidate sources of truth? Because that's usually cheaper for them, and it's just less stuff to manage and less people to manage. And that all gives them greater profitability and ultimately, more more cash.
Cool. Um, so questions. Anybody, any questions? David's been very active, but there's 23 more people here, so don't be
Yeah,
shy.
I'm curious what some of these other director of operations and ecom managers think
Yeah,
about
I'm
this, or
actually
what
curious,
specific questions they
especially
have.
ecom managers. I mean, there's more marketing people here than I would have expected. Marketing people, what made you come here? Like, what is it about generating more cash flow that piqued your interest? I mean, you know, you're the kind of marketing people I want in my company, that's for sure. The fact that you're even thinking about this. Yeah, well, great question. Anything to help through Q4. Claire, there's a couple of things. So, first of all, Q4 is when you have the most cash. So, being able to automate your treasury right away heading into Q4 is we're going to generate the most amount of money. I mean, I'm sure many of you generate between 30 and 50% of your entire year in an 8 week span, if not less. So, it's coming up. So, make sure you're making the most use of your money. And by the way, HighBeam, we can get you up and running in less than half an hour. So, that's not very hard on banking. Also, cash back on ads. This is something we didn't talk about, but we do great cash back on ads, either on a cash card or a flex card. You should definitely talk to us about that. And I mean, that's going to be, again, it's going to be the most valuable this time of the year. 13-week cash flow becomes important too. Although you're cash rich, you probably want to be talking to someone like a Sam, especially as you think about your inventory heading into Jan. Like what I find heading in, this is more putting my brand hat on, heading into this time of the year, it's actually very delicate. You're either going to be running out of money or running out of inventory. So if you're way off plan, you're going to have way too much inventory and too much cash. Everything's amplified at holiday, right? Like a month is a week and a week is a day. And so I'm watching my inventory ridiculously closely, and I understand where my thresholds are. Where if I'm way ahead of plan, that's great. I'm going to be cash rich, but I'm going to be running out of inventory, and I might be have no inventory in Jan. So I'm usually scrambling to pull up my POs quicker. So usually what I like to do is I like to put POs in to arrive in either Jan or Feb, and then I have the supplier make them a little bit in advance so I can pull them forward quickly. Um, and then on the cash side, if I'm running out of cash because I'm going to have to pay vendors for inventory that I brought in that the bill's coming due, but that's not selling, I get a lot more aggressive in my promotion to make sure I'm putting money in the bank.
Yep. I
Anything
mean,
else?
I think, well, I mean, the honest answer is, if you're still, you, no one's planning for Q4. We're already in Q4. So I think
Right.
the question really more is about 2026. And, we typically take clients through our or their budget process, but in a lot of cases, it's our budget process, in November, December, sometimes in January, just depending on the year. And again, on a smaller scale, they're always looking to cut costs. So, can I move away from Bill.com or my other AP provider, and consolidate my sources of truth and all those types of decisions? And yeah, to your point, how much cash am I going to have, and how is this going to impact my budgeting and forecasting for next year?
Yeah. Cool.
I have another question too, Dave. I mean, can you talk about
Sure.
pricing? Are you comfortable talking about pricing for HighBeam?
Yeah.
Because I
So
think that's important. Like,
banking.
what am I comparing against?
100%. So there's like you brought up a few big value props. Like, so we make you money on your idle cash through automated daily treasury. That's going to be worth tens, if not hundreds of thousands. We consolidate your bill pay. So any fees you're paying on bill pay gets consolidated to HighBeam. You actually don't pay for those two things. Those are included in our platform. We get you better cash back on ads. That's going to be real money for you too. And then we do charge. We have a $4.99 plan and a $9.99 a month plan for automated cash flow and for our AI analyst. One is an out of the box version. One is a much more bespoke. We categorize it for you, and we do a lot more work on it. But frankly, in all those cases, anybody on this call, I'm more than happy to spin it up for you, give you a few months free, make sure you're seeing value in it. Look, the way we think about this is, of course, we all need to get paid for our work, but we want to make sure we're generating enormous value for you. So we're more than happy to do the upfront work in order to show you the value on some of our more premium packages that where we generate some of that automation on cash flow to show that to you upfront.
Awesome. And sorry, I'm gonna ask a follow-up question. Can you explain too, like generally how HighBeam makes money? Like obviously you've
I
got
mean,
the
absolutely.
the two plans, but I think it is important to understand how you and your competitors actually
Great.
make money.
Great question. I mean, so like the big banks have been turning record profits year after year because they've basically sold this idea that they're the only ones that can keep your money safe. And HighBeam has all times your money with HighBeam is either secured by the US federal government through the FDIC program or sitting in the top 10 strategically important bank. So we've commoditized the keeping your money safe piece of this, and we work with the best institutions in the world to do that with. What we did is layer in this tech and service on top of it to add real value to you. So the big banks have taken all of the yield on the cash. HighBeam makes money three ways. One is on deposits. We basically give you some of the deposit yield back and we
Yep.
keep some of it. But our split is a lot more fair than with JP or Bay of A. Their split is 100% for them
Because
and
it's
zero.
greater than zero.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And then we layer in the tech to say not only we're going to do that, but we're actually going to move the money for you to make sure we generate as much as we can for you. Second way we make money is on credit spreads. So of course, when you use our credit cards, we make money there, or if you use our capital solutions. And the third way is on SaaS. If we can bring some of these automations to you, we make money on the SaaS piece. But because we make money in three different ways, I mean, look, what attracted me to HighBeam, and again, like just to come full circle, I started as a HighBeam customer. I've built a brand. I've been in your shoes before. I still own a brand. I am in your shoes. The same brand that I came to HighBeam with, I still own. It's called Firebelly Tea. Does a few million bucks a year, and it's growing, and someone runs it, and it's a HighBeam customer. And like, we exist, and all we do is work with consumer brands. So we want to be your 20-year partners. So, our thesis was, listen, the big banks have, many of us have been had by the big banks, and we're here to level the playing field. We understand that you guys I mean, the heartbeat of entrepreneurship. And not only are you creating great livings for yourselves, but you're creating jobs and you're growing the economy. And we want to be there to support you. And anyway, that's how we make money. And it's very transparent. And that's one of the pillars of what we stand for. We want to be transparent, we want to be upfront, we want to be available when you need us, and we want to layer in phenomenal world-class technology that saves you real money in real time.
Awesome.
Cool. Yeah, so a couple of QR codes. You can go to visit HighBeam or just go to highbeam.com, EcomCFO and Sam. You can download the report there. It's an awesome report. I highly recommend you do that. If you want to use the working capital calculator, you can also go to highbeam.com. We have it there. And I think Rue put in a Calendly link. If you want to book a demo with us, you're more than welcome to. There's never any, by the way, there's no contracts, there's no commitments. You come and go as you please. There's everything is truly on the table and upfront. We'd love to talk to some of you, but I know I speak for Sam when I say we'd love to just have a no strings attached dialogue with anybody that's made it this far on this call.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much for having me, David.
Thank you. It's great to see you.
Always. Yeah.
And thanks to everybody here who attended. And I believe there's probably a recording of this somewhere too. Is that correct? Yeah. There'll be a recording of this available as well if you want to share it internally within your orgs at all. And we hope you all have a phenomenal Q4 and keep crushing it.
All right.